Everything in society is exactly what it shouldn't be. Everything. Every single thing today. And I think this is really important to talk about. I think this is widely overlooked. I mean, if we dig deep, people, relationships, jobs, friends, entertainment, media, everything. It's not talked about enough. Everything we have today is exactly what it shouldn't be. Before we go, I'm not a negative person. I don't like to be a negative person. Within this channel, I like to express the things I feel are truly true, the things I truly believe in. I like to speak my mind. I don't like to hold anything back. And you'll hear everything I have to say unless I'm being suppressed. But relationships, they're all dysfunctional. Pretty much. Dysfunctional relationships, delusional characteristics, delusional expectations, movements that, quite frankly, are destroying society one by one, even if you don't realize it. Marriages. I mean, we got guys today talking about they'll never get married. And I agree with them. Why would you get married? But then it feels weird because because you would want that to be the ultimate goal. You would want to find the love of your life, right? You would want to find someone who is worth marrying. And I'm not knocking anyone who's married. If you're married, that's a blessing and you keep it going. But when you look at statistics, when you look at what's failing, what's working, you slowly begin to catch on. When there are individuals telling you why you should never get married, why you should stay single for a certain period of time, you only start to believe, is this really true? And then with the experience and you go through life and you start to realize that it just might be. It just might be. I think that men, for the most part, are afraid to speak their minds. I think that women are kind of lost in their own world. For the most part, they don't know exactly what fulfills them, exactly what they want. They think they want this, they receive it, and it's not good enough. They think they deserve something, but what they don't realize is that they have everything they asked for. They have pretty much everything they asked for. So it's like, what more do you want in terms of what's going to fulfill you? As a man, as a woman, are we living the way we're supposed to? Are the men giving it their all? Are the men who created this country, people who created society? And I know things have changed, and I talk about it all the time. I tell you, it's not the 1900s. Things have drastically changed over time. Drastically. I mean, we all want jobs. We all want money. Working just sucks. Nobody wants to work and lose their time in the process, or not feel like their work, time that they're putting in, is actually being compensated, is actually worth doing, pursuing. This is why, as a man, you got to keep trying, man. You got to keep going hard. I know it sounds cliche. It really is that. You got to lock in, man. You have to sacrifice. You have to struggle to get to where you want to be, man. And it is what it is. It is what it is. You might have to work those extra hours. You might have to work that job that's tiring you out every night. You might have to work a few jobs. You might have to struggle with that business the first 10 or 20 times and then make it the 21st time. You might have to struggle. You might have to try some new things. You might have to take a lot of risks. The thing about that is, I love the risk part. You should always be willing to take risks. But sometimes you don't know if the risk is going to be worth the reward. And this could be anything you do in life. Anything. Any concept that I just mentioned. Relationships. Anything. And it's almost like even when you have or you feel like you have resources, you really don't have any. Especially if you're living in, a particular area, or, even anywhere you live, man. I'm sure you feel this way as well. You might feel like you don't have everything you think you have. You might feel like your friends aren't really your friends, or your family isn't really your family, or the money you have isn't really good enough to last you where you want it to last you. And I think, today this is pretty normal. I think majority of people are feeling like this, man. And, I'm used to it. I'm used to it already. I've been used to it. But I know how guys are feeling, man. I know how people are feeling. Imagine, as a man, you're having to casually date females because you just, all the ones you run into are, huge red flags. And then as a woman, imagine the women that are out there and they see all these men giving up, all these men that they just don't want anything to do with a woman because of things like feminism, because of unfair treatment of what they think is unfair treatment, them having to struggle on a daily basis and then expected to provide and do all this other stuff. So as a woman, it's frustrating as well. It's very frustrating for both sides. And then on top of that, social media. It's like social media is more important than actual relationships today. Which is why I've tried my best to, the last few years, lay low, do my thing, stay as far away from social media as possible. I'll go on here and there. The only main social media that I actually care about is YouTube. And it's really the only one I would dedicate myself to. It'll take me some time for me to get back onto my other platforms, which I will do. I will do for, just business purposes and things like that. I will be back on pretty soon, but it's just that it feels, it feels bad. It just doesn't feel normal. It just feels like it shouldn't be how it is, And like I mentioned, you'll hear everything I have to say. But things like free speech isn't really free speech. It isn't. Which is why when I talk sometimes you'll hear me say things where I want to come out and entirely and let you guys know how I actually feel. But, in the back of my mind, I don't, there are things that I think about. And I shouldn't be thinking about it, I should just be able to express myself how I want to express myself, which for the most part I do. For the most part I do it anyway. But, I could only imagine for people out there, for men out there who want to speak their minds, who want to say what's actually real, what's actually true, and they can't do that. They can't. Or they feel like they can't. But this is the world we live in. This is the country we live in. This is how we're living today, man. Everything feels like it's not what it's supposed to be. And you truly figure out more about yourself, man, if you can get through times like these, if you can not let the stage you're in your life impact you in any way, in any negative way. And that's what's most important to me, man. You got to be willing to fight, and you can't let up. You can't. But that's all I have for you guys today, man. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you leave it a thumbs up, subscribe, leave a comment, and I appreciate you guys. Stay tuned for the next one. I'm out.